Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Let me just set the tone here. I may have been born into reality, but that doesn't mean that I belong in it. Each and every day I wake up and I pray that my mind will conquer my body and the suffocating environment it inhabits. I pray that illusion may triumph over reality. I knew from birth that something was off. I felt like something to be jettisoned, an implant being rejected, a virus being attacked by white blood cells. I was expelled from the deafening silence of my mother's womb and rocketed into this startlingly harsh landscape. The air was too cold. I could sense its density. The vibrations of voices pained my ears. Smells burned my delicate nostrils. Luckily, at least, I would remain blind for another few weeks, a gift from my underdeveloped body to avoid total system collapse. It was all just too rigid. My skin was caught and torn on walls of sandpaper. And like every birth, it was trauma. I would later understand that as my brain grew more cavernous, that it was not the physicality of reality which betrays me, as I believed at my birth, but the concepts that constructed it. Mere ideas, figments of a limited perception. Society and its laws, beliefs produced a kind of friction. Those are the true confines: society and laws, chains around the mind, fear masquerading as a governing body. I witnessed this great conspiracy and soon began my plots for escape. Just as the mind can be confined, it can just as easily burst. Imagination is our greatest weapon of freedom, even if it may teeter on the edge of lunacy. I would rather live with those who stare at the moon from the filth of the street, mistaking it for a porcelain plate on a indigo velvet tablecloth. Honestly, the moon in reality is whacked out enough for me, seemingly a fairy tale verified by scientists. I mean, how can the moon be real? Just a dusty, luminescent, perfectly circular, floating astronomical body? I mean, really? Just pointing out here that even reality has its glitches, but on with the rest of the video. I have very little tolerance for reality. Again, I was born into it, but I figured out pretty soon afterward that I didn't have to live in it for very long. And the obsession with this discovery would deepen over time. I'd say a kind of obsession with imagination that tightened its orbit around illusion. Today, the lengths I go to completely detach myself from the regular world can be truly awe-inspiring. Unfortunately, I have too many friends who aid and abet. You all know who you are. I chose to forgo logic and reason in daily life so that I may create a habitat in which I could survive, as the one that was offered to me was insufficient. It was a world, I should say, where the soil was sprinkled with salt. The Romans sprinkled salt over the fields of their enemies so that the land would remain forever infertile, and therefore civilization could never prosper in those areas again. The world that I rejected, and which mutually rejected me, proudly sported this white crystalline surface. I was not free to walk about and plant the seeds of my illusions, my artistic amendments. Daily life without imagination, without the power to stylize, to poeticize, to theorize, romanticize, would be laborious. I would collapse under its weight. Is it possible that I'm just too sensitive for reality? Too easily wounded by it? Kind of hemophiliac, blood just spilling from me at the slightest grazing of my skin? Perhaps that's it. Could be just that simple. But to be honest, it's not something I'm really ashamed of. I'm far too proud of my ability to overcome the dominance of reality and society, its lone soldier. I choose illusion, fantasy, perception. I choose a land of infinite fecundity, immortality, beauty. I fight valiantly in the war between illusion and reality. At night, I dream and strengthen my fantasies. And then I wake up in the morning and I write them down. I talk about them, breathing life into them until they manifest into reality. I'm a kind of spy, an agent in a foreign territory, taking out the opposition in silence, one by one. I have chosen to sever my ties with the real world, one antisocial act at a time. I do live in the real world, however, and from time to time, despite my best efforts, I do have to come face to face with its demands. And some of you ask, well, how do you live out your lifestyle in the real world? What about rent, civil duties, employment? It's all very difficult. Devastating, really. I avoid most of those demands like the plague, even towards greater hardship. But then again, I'm not logical or practical. I work as little as I possibly can. I put value on beauty over comfortability, prefer experience over safety, and ignore until the absolute last possible second. If I have to do something that actually requires a lot of my time or effort, a glass or two of red wine really helps to dull the edges, like training for something. But I would say my most effective treatment for the plague of errands or civil duties or whatever is dissociation. I choose to split myself into two personalities, and neither has any awareness that the other exists. They do not exchange conversation or cross paths. One deals with the reality bullshit, and the other doesn't. One goes to the job for 12 hours a day, and the other one is eating a croissant on the steps of a marble mausoleum looking at the deer sitting in the grass. In my journal, I write only on the days when that persona is dominant. The other persona completes the tasks required, although reluctantly still, and their efforts are forgotten, effaced by the passing of time. Money I earn and is used to pay for nonsense like rent or parking tickets is just simply never in my bank account in the first place. I do not mourn its absence. I don't care about money that much. Money has to do with a lot of these things. The very common illusion, I would say, of two personas is a very elegant solution to the suffering caused by reality's demands. If you saw me at the bank, at the courthouse, getting a money order, taking out the trash, dropping off mail, working, no, you didn't. I don't know her. As far as I know, she's completely nameless, sexless, a mechanized life form designed by my brain to perform such mundane tasks. The real me, Celine, considers all that crap quite filthy and degrading. Pulls me back down. I want to remain up here. And even so, there are some things that I hate doing required by real life that I'm just able to romanticize or experience through artistic sense. I mean, think about Lana Del Rey and 7-Eleven, 80s and 90s rappers in the burning South Bronx. Again, the transformative power of imagination, illusion, can beautify even the ugliest scenarios. I blame and owe my sincerest gratitude to Anais Nin, David Lynch, the Impressionists, the Expressionists, Huysmans, Wilde, John Galliano, Margiela, Rick Owens, and Michelle Lamy, and every gorgeously mad person I adored in high school. I have been utterly corrupted by all of you. To nourish illusion, to destroy reality, lies like arrows flung from the strength of a fantasy's orbit, I dedicate myself to nurturing and growing an inner world. More hospitable, warmer, softer, anarchist, and just filled with my mad brethren. Our mind is the greatest mutation, one so capable of destroying itself, so cancerous at times. We must pay our respects to that power, learn how to tend to its mercurial nature, and with enough devotion, may it grant us its secrets. Thank you, everyone, very much for watching this completely mad video. This video pretty much started off as a joke and then I just kind of fluffed it up with all of this frilly language. To a degree, it's definitely serious. I do not have tolerance for reality, and daily life can be quite challenging for me. But like I said, I have my imagination, and I have fantasy and illusion and beauty, and those things have gotten me through quite a lot. Never underestimate the power of belief. So with that, I'm going to say please like and subscribe, as always, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.